Hi, Verbling. My name's Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and for my last class today, we're talking about racism. We'll be doing some discussion and reading, answering some questions, and looking at vocabulary. If any about this lesson or give me suggestions for future lessons, you can let me know on Facebook. I'll put my Facebook name in the chat box or on Verbling. Just send me a message. Elena, welcome to class.
Hello. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Fine, fine.
Do you have anything fun planned for this week?
No, just working.
Oh, just working?
Yes, well, at learning English, that I must say is very, very fun. Here in Berlin.
Fun. Yes,
Wow.
great answer. Exactly what we were looking for. Totally.
No, it's true. I think classes here in Berlin are really fun, and um I'm looking forward to join it every day because, well, I feel great and it's fun and I'm very comfortable in them.
I totally agree. I have a blast in class. All right, and Johnny, welcome to class.
Hello, long time no see. How are you?
Yeah, it has been a while. I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. And are you in Brazil yet, or you just come
I am in
back to the
Brazil
US?
still.
It's the, okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So do you have anything fun planned this week, Johnny?
Um, Not really. Actually, it has been a while since that I had fun on weekends. It sounds funny, but I actually have not planned it yet, so I don't know what I'm gonna do.
All right. Well, I'll put the link for the article in the chat box for you guys. You can load that up, and while you're loading, we'll have a little bit of discussion. The first question we're going to talk a little bit about is what image springs to mind when you hear the word racism? So what do you think about when you think about racism? Johnny, go first.
Um, wow. I don't know. When I heard this word, I imagine ignorant people, right? So,
Mhm.
well, sad situations with black people as well.
Mhm.
I don't know, sort of thing like this.
Okay, Elena, how about you? What do you think of when you think of racism?
Yes, quite the same. It's ignorant people because um, racist people is someone that don't know and don't want to know about other culture. I don't know about other culture. I'm a lot of I'm very ignorant and but I know that's a bad thing.
Mm, all
And
right.
racist people don't know uh, that are a bad thing. Not knowing about other cultures is a bad thing, and it's very sad and dangerous, of course.
Very true. So, do you guys think it's possible for racism to be completely destroyed? Do you think somehow in the future we'll be able to move beyond racism? Or do you think that it will always be a part of race relations? Elena, are you optimistic or not so much?
Mm, I think that there is something deep in all of us that is ethnocentric, and in some way it's even a good thing because we all need to feel proud of our culture. So it's always a tendency with our in us, we, I don't know, that have a tendency to be racist because well, we need to think that our culture is the best somehow, but at the same time we need to know that that's a sentimental needing. Oh, sorry, but we had to go over it and accept. Not accept, because accept is something like you are inferior, but I'm better, but I accept you. No, it's not like that. It's you have a lot to teach me.
All right. True. And Alberto, welcome to class.
Hello, teacher. Hello, classmates.
Hello, Alberto. Tell us, do you think that racism will always be a part of the world, or are you optimistic that we'll be able to get rid of it?
I would like to be optimistic, but I think it will be, I don't know if worse, but at least it won't decrease a lot.
I see. So there will always be a little.
Yeah.
Okay. Johnny, how do you feel about it?
Yes, I would like to be optimistic as well, but I mean, it is a part of our history, right? So it began with slaves and everything. So that whole thing about slaves, it will always be part of our history. So people will have a really bad time to forget about that, So there will always be racist people. They are going to remember about everything that has happened in the past. So I think that it's almost impossible to remove from people's mind that think about racism. So that will always be ignorant people who's gonna be racist, and so.
All right. So since we're talking today about a particular topic, I'd like to brainstorm some words we can use to discuss these issues. So what are some words that are good to use when talking about a topic like racism? What are some words you frequently hear? Can you guys think of anything? We've talked already a little about ignorance. That's a good vocabulary word to use when talking about racism. What else?
Rejection.
Rejection. That's a good one.
I said ethnocentrism before.
Okay.
I don't know if it is unusual, a usual
What word?
word in English. Ethnocentrism.
Yes.
I can
Ethnocentrism.
write it.
Good idea.
I think that is like an academic word. Hellenize. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Ethnocentrism, maybe?
Yeah, I think I have misspelled it.
Let's look. Definitely, yeah. Ethnocentrism and ethics. Yeah, there we go. Better spelling. But with a TH.
Yes.
Ethnocentrism. Okay. Yeah. So can you define that word for us?
Yes, it's the feeling or the thought that your culture is the best, the center of the world, and even the unique world culture, because
Yes.
other cultures just that don't exist. For example, European culture, we are the unique culture in history. All the history mm, goes around us. Well, we think that, we Europeans think that. Obviously, it's not true.
Yeah, that's an important word.
My teacher
Excellent.
at
Yeah.
the university, when she explained this topic of ethnocentrism, said that, for example, the word exotic is racist because you're judging everything from your own culture. So everything that is different is exotic, something like that.
Yeah, definitely. It depends on your point of view or your perspective. For me, I would view tropical places as exotic, but from the point of view of someone who lives in a tropical country, exotic would be the cold ski weather or something.
Yes.
Excellent. So let's add a few more words to our list. Some words we can use to talk about this topic of racism.
Like skin color, complexion.
Complexion. Good one. Complexion.
Human race.
Human race, yeah, that's going to be a big part of our discussion. Anything else? I'm going to put some words in the chat box that I think will be important for us. Some of them are the words you helped come up with, and others are some words I added to the list as well. We have tolerance, prejudice, ignorance, discrimination, bias, rejection, ethnocentrism, superior, inferior, point of view, perspective, complexion, oops, that didn't work right, and human race. All right, any questions on that list before we start to discuss and read a little more?
Teacher,
Excellent.
what is the difference between prejudice and bias?
That's an excellent question. Can anyone answer that already and tell us a little bit about the differences?
And prejudice and what? I'm sorry? What is the other word?
Prejudice and bias.
Can you type it?
They're both in the list that I sent. So okay. We have tolerance, prejudice, ignorance, discrimination, and bias. B-I-A-S. So let's define prejudice to start with. What does it mean to be prejudiced?
That before any knowledge, you have an opinion about something, but without knowledge, or without a little knowledge, or without a biased knowledge. And I don't know how to say it. Prejudice is always or almost always negative. But bias, it's often negative, but it's a very complex word, because I know about psychology, and bias is a very important term in nowadays psychology, and it's not always negative, because we have bias because, for example, if you see something that seems like a snake, you can think this is a snake, and it's important for you because you can avoid a dangerous thing, and it's not exactly a prejudice.
So So the main difference here is that bias is based on an experience. So something happened and then that put a thought in your head. And prejudice is not necessarily based on experience. It could be, but not necessarily. So prejudice is an opinion you have, usually a negative one, about a particular group. And bias could be a prejudice, but it could also be any other idea you have based on experience.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions on that list of words before we move on to our article? We have an article on racism that I thought was particularly interesting and will help guide our conversation a little bit. And I'll re-enter it again into the chat box if anyone still needs to open it. And I will, of course, share my screen so you guys can read along with me as well. All right, the title of the article is European Soccer Tackles Racism but Slips on a Banana Peel. And before we begin, I'd like to note that this article happens to be about Europe, but it's a little unfair to pick on Europe because, of course, racism happens everywhere in the world. So we're just using this as an example, even though it's something that unfortunately is part of lots of different cultures. All right. How about Elena? Will you read these first few paragraphs here for us to start us off?
Okay. While sports fans in the US have been focused this week on the Donald Sterling scandal, European soccer fans have been talking about another recent incident. At a match between football club Barcelona, popularly known as Barça, and Villarreal club football in Spain. This past weekend, Brazilian player Dani Alves was setting up to take a corner kick when a banana thrown by a fan landed in front of him on the pitch. You know, because racist taunts are never subtle. Continue. Alves reached down, peeled a banana, and took a bite out of it before taking the corner. His team, Barcelona, won the match 3-2. Afterwards, Alves jokingly tweeted that he was grateful for the extra potassium, which kept him from cramping up.
Okay, so before we discuss this, what are some vocabulary questions you guys have here?
Taunt?
Count?
Yes, taunt. Racist taunt.
Oh, taunt.
Taunt. Sorry. Racist taunt.
Yes. What is a taunt? Can anyone decide from the context or already know a good definition for this word? A racist taunt would be some kind of joke made at the expense of another person. Meaning, you play a joke because you know it will be hurtful or distracting to the person. And it's meant to upset people. The point of a taunt is to upset someone.
Okay.
And it's pretty common in sports to have one team taunt another team or fans taunt the other fans. Is anyone here a fan of soccer?
Yes. Big fan.
And have you ever seen some taunts before?
Yes, every time I go to the stadium.
Yeah, with sports it's easy. People get very passionate and they want to distract and upset the other team. So they use this as a strategy to do that. What about the pitch? What's the pitch?
It's like the field, like the.
Mm-hmm. Like a sports field. All right. And cramping? What happens when you cramp? Whoa, someone's listening to Eminem. What is a cramp? Does anyone know? He tweeted that the potassium stopped him from cramping up. What does that mean?
The pain in your muscles?
Mm-hmm. A pain in your muscles that happens with a lot of exercise, usually. Exactly. All right. Any other questions from these 3 short paragraphs? What do you guys think about this event? Let's see. Alberto, tell us your thoughts about what happened.
Well, I watch a lot of European football games, so and I think this is not common, not really common, or it is not. It doesn't happen like all the time, but it happens sometimes, and especially with Brazilian players, they throw bananas at them because some racist fans say that they look like monkeys or monkeys. That's why they throw them bananas to humiliate them. And this time Alves did something that I guess nobody had done before. That was eat it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Elena, what do you think about what he did, his action there?
I don't like football, and I always put off the TV when there is football news. But I saw this new, and well, it's disgusting, of course. But I don't know who Dani Alves is because I don't like football. But I remember when I saw it, that I really liked how this football player react in the camp, and after that, talking about that, I thought he was great because he um, mm, he teach a lesson to the people who have done that stupid thing. I repeat, I don't know who is him, but I don't know if he plays good or what. I don't mind. But when I saw in TV, I thought he was really great in his reaction.
Yeah, definitely an admirable reaction. Johnny, what do you think about it? It must be a personal offense a little more for you than for others, right? Because you're Brazilian, no?
Yeah, I mean, it has been happening not only in Europe but also in South America as well. You know, we had a case. I just forgot the country that it happened, but a case with another Brazilian soccer player, and he was playing, and the fans started to make monkey noises to the soccer player, and but talking about this specific case with Daniel Alves, I think it was great what he did, you know, about the racist fan. And I mean, I would do the same if I was him because, you know, if I get mad at the soccer fan, it's not gonna help me at all, you know. So I needed to teach a lesson to him, just like Daniel did, and he ate the banana, and you know, like saying you can do such a dumb thing like this, but I don't care because I don't get offended. I am proud of my races. I am proud of being black, and I don't care about what you think. And so it was exactly what he did, and I would do the same if I was him, if I was in his spot.
For sure. All right, Kitty, or Sad, or whatever you prefer to be called. What do you think about what happened? Have you been following our class so far?
No, I just lately connected.
Okay. Well, we've been reading an article, and it's in the chat box for you if you like. You can open it there, or you can follow along with me.
Okay.
All right. I'll let you catch up. And in the meantime, Hussein, welcome to class.
Hello, thank you.
Have you been following up, or do you know what we're talking about today already?
I know the topic, but I was not watching the class.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts or experiences to share in regards to racism?
No, but I can talk about it. I think people should respect each other, and there's no need to be racist to protect their race, I think. And racism is not such a good thing. People shouldn't be racist. And I think we are all equal creatures, so people should respect each other. I think sometimes people think or love too much their nation or their culture, maybe, so they tend to be racist because of that, and they think like they are the best and the other people on the world are worse, like. But to me, it's not correct, of course, and. To me, for example, there are two kinds of people, good people and bad people. No problem, no matter what their skin color is, no matter what their nation is. I think people should think like that. People should think alike, I think. Yeah, that's my thought.
All right. And there's a list of vocabulary words in the chat boxes for you guys. So if you have any questions on those, let me know. And we'll talk a little bit more about it. All right. Any other thoughts before we go on in our article? Then let's continue reading. And the next person to read. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was talking about the other case that has happened and some months ago, and the country that I was talking about, it was Peru. So it happened with Brazilian soccer player situation of racism in that country. So it was kind of sad, but it's in South America, so you can see that.
It happens everywhere.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. But here in Colombia, I am a teacher, and I have I sometimes teach in the schools, and there was a group of black kids. And it was very strange because they were being racist against each other, and one of them was saying, "You're blacker than I am."
Yeah, that kind of stuff can be really sad.
It's something like that because Peruvians, Brazilians, Colombians, well, we're the same. It's not like there is no difference, and it's stupid to be racist here, like Johnny said in Peru and everywhere, but especially that case was stupid.
Yeah, usually we think of racism as against black people, like white people against black people, but it can happen in any kind of situation. It could happen black against black, white against white, white against black, black against white, and even other combinations, Asian people or Saudi Arabian people. There are all kinds of different races, and any combination of racism can happen. Pretty sad story.
Yeah.
All right. Let's read the next two paragraphs. Hussein, would you like to do it for us?
Yeah. These kinds of stunts are hardly new. Alves, who has been the target of racist heckling in soccer stadiums before, said that the fight against the fan racism in Spain is a lost cause. And yet, after the incident, lots of other famous players rallied to Elvis' side, tweeting and Instagramming photos of themselves eating bananas, many with the hashtag Somos todos macacos, Spanish for we are all monkeys. Macaco is often shot by Spanish fans as an insult to black players. The campaign, which it turns out was planned by a marketing company, has become a social media phenomenon.
Thank you. So let's talk a little about vocabulary first. The word stunt in the first sentence, can someone define that word for me? Stunt. So we're talking about this event when the banana was thrown.
Insult, perhaps?
Could be. Sometimes a stunt is an insult. In this context, it definitely is. What else is part of the definition for the word stunt? Can anyone add? It's an event to draw attention. So a stunt is something done with the intent to get attention from other people. Usually it's some kind of fake action or could be an insulting action, and the person does it in order to get attention from someone else. In this case, they were trying to get the soccer player's attention so that they could distract him and maybe make his game not as good. And what about heckling? That's in the next sentence. Alves, who has been the target of racist heckling. No ideas on the definition of heckling?
I just look it up, and it is something like interrupting someone that is performing something.
Mm-hmm. Interrupting. Is it a positive or a negative thing?
I think it's negative, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Usually it's interrupting someone with the intent to distract them or make them upset. Insulting sometimes, if you interrupt someone in order to insult them. And we frequently see this word used about a comedy performance. When comedians are performing, there might be people who heckle and shout insults. Any other vocabulary questions? How about rallied? In the next paragraph. After the incident, lots of other famous players rallied to Alves' side.
To gather around.
Mm-hmm. Excellent definition. And what about campaign? The campaign, which turns out was planned by a marketing company, has become a social media phenomenon. What is a campaign?
Mm-hmm. I know the meaning, but explaining it is a bit difficult.
Yeah, sometimes that's true. How about Alberto? Help us out.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's the same as Julio said. I know it, but I don't know how to.
Sometimes that's hard.
It's like a plan, like a plan to do something, like a set of steps.
It's like to get attention from others, or maybe you can say that in companies when they plan something to make people interested about the topic, or they show that they are talking about, so stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Or sometimes you hear the word campaign when discussing a politician. They have these advertisements to promote themselves.
Get popularity or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I put a quick link in the chat boxes for you guys. If you ever have trouble with coming up with some of these answers, give a quick look to dictionary.com and see if that helps. I love that website. They give amazing definitions, really accurate, and sometimes the history of a word, which I think is interesting too. Okay. Any other questions before we move on from these two paragraphs? I think the picture below is so cute.
Yes.
The kid
Hands
doesn't look like Neymar though.
That's true. I don't know whose kid that is. Does he have
Yeah,
kids?
it's his son, but
Really?
yeah, you know, but he's not with the mother of this child. So, but
He's so
if
young
you,
though, right? I mean,
yeah,
how does he have a kid already?
His son's banana is bigger.
Wow,
yeah,
yeah, that kid looks like 3 years old, right?
yeah.
Wow, I'm surprised. Because he's like, what, 22, 23?
Yeah, I
But
think it's 22, I guess.
Oh my
it
gosh.
is most of football players get married and have children very very young.
Yeah.
Wow, stressful. And why do you think that is?
I don't know. I watch it on the news, and they gave a lot of examples, but I don't really know why.
All right. It will remain a mystery then. Elena, will you read the next two paragraphs for us? You didn't read yet, did you?
Yes, I have read it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Then how about Johnny? Go ahead.
Okay. Which one?
The paragraph starting part of the idea, and read two of them for us.
Right. Part of the idea is that the humor makes the racist seem more absurd. Laurent Dubois, a Duke University historian who wrote A Soccer Empire, The World Cup and the Future of France, told me on Wednesday, whether that's the right tactic or not we can debate on and on, but it's a part of a long lineage of responses to fan racism. He said that the problem is most salient in two of Europe's top leagues, Italy's Serie A and Spain's La Liga. That is a really serious problem of fan racism and European soccer that you don't really see in American sports, the boys said. The historical context is different.
All right. So these paragraphs are chock full of words and also a lot of interesting topics to talk about. First word we'll go over is tactic. What is a tactic?
The way to get something. Like
Any other synonyms you guys can think of for the word tactic?
Strategy.
Yeah, strategy would be a good one. And how about lineage?
ancestry.
Yeah, ancestry is a good synonym there. Any other questions before we talk about the content of these paragraphs?
Salient.
Good one. Does anyone know what salient means?
Difficult, big.
Can be difficult.
Something that stands out.
Definitely something that stands out. Something that's strong or effective would be some other words that might be involved in the definition to salient. Okay, so let's talk about the content here, because it's interesting what they said. They said that you can debate whether humor is the right tactic or not, but that in Italy and Spain, this particular problem of racism is stronger than in other places. Do you guys agree or disagree with that? Anyone have a strong opinion here?
Regarding football, I think so.
You think it's true?
Yes, I have heard a lot of cases of racism, and most of them are in the Spanish league and in the Italian calcio. Yes.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I want to say something
Yeah,
like
go
a
ahead.
Spanish person. We here have a lot of football fans, and there's a little part of them that are racist. But what I want to say is that I don't know why, but football is a place where in a little part of fans, but football is a place where the worst of society um, goes. In Spanish, we have a problem. I don't think we have a problem with racism. Well, we have it, but not a very strong problem, except for gypsy people. But we have a very huge problem with different cultures, with culture discrimination. I think most of the people here don't look bad at anyone for the color, but we or some of us can look bad to people because they are from a different culture. But in football, there are a lot of people that mm, it's difficult that takes football as the way they can um, express their worst feelings.
Mm.
Yes.
Mhm. Well
Of course,
said.
I'm not saying that all the fans and not the majority of football fans are like this, but it's a place where the worst of society goes sometimes. A little part, but the worst, or
Yeah,
I see.
almost the worst.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I
And
agree too.
yeah, because and also when people used to say, "Oh, it happens in Europe," constantly. I don't think that is true because we only see that because the media is showing up. The media is bringing up all of the situation that is going on in Europe about racism, but it has happened in South America as well. Just like I said, when there is a month of people of color. So where they don't discuss that a lot, and I think that is wrong because it has been going on around here as well, not only in Europe. And about soccer, that she said, I agree with that because people take football too serious. So sometimes they express their anger. And
Yeah.
they show up their feelings. They express that, and they get so angry when the team is not playing so good, or so on and so forth. So they say dumb things because they take it so serious, and it's sad, but it's not only in Europe, in a sort of country like this that is not much people of color, but it happens in South America as well, when you can see amounts of black people.
I totally agree. And that was also my first reaction when I read that paragraph, because it's easy to talk about these specific examples, but really it doesn't do us any good to point our fingers at like two particular teams, because racism exists everywhere. In the Americas, in Europe, in Asia, in Africa, it really happens everywhere. So, all right. Next two paragraphs that I'll highlight here. I think Hussein, did you read already?
Yes, I read one. I read one.
Did anybody not read yet?
Alberto, I haven't read.
Oh, go ahead. Read these two paragraphs for us then.
Yes. Okay. The Dubois said that I can't see the first line, teacher. Sorry.
Is that better?
Yes. Dubois said that European football is seeing a whole bunch of changes on the pitch collide with changes in the wider world. In the 1980s, the European Union overturned overturned the rules that capped the number of non-European players a team could field. At the same time, European countries were loosening up regulations on privately owned television networks, resulting in an influx of money to the sport. Players from all over the world began heading to Europe to play. The next paragraph too, teacher?
Hmm.
Okay. When we watch the United Kingdom's Premier League now, we are not expecting to see all British players. Dubois said, "You're assuming you're going to see someone from Cote d'Ivoire or whatever." Dubois, Cote d'Ivoire. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, it's I would say the Ivory Coast, but here they put it in the French, which is I think a more politically correct, but I'm not sure how to say that either. I would say the Ivory Coast.
Oh.
Okay, let's read two more paragraphs and then discuss a little bit more. So the next two, Elena, will you read them?
Dubois pointed out an irony that shows how messy tribalism can be.
You
In
skipped a
almost
paragraph.
Oh,
Sorry. One
sorry.
more.
Okay. And what's part of what's for an incident like this? Part of this is about anxieties about immigration from no-European countries. Dubois said, some of the hooliganism that used to plague matches was blamed on far-right groups, but active anti-hooligan measures and the rising price of tickets to matches squeezed a lot of those elements out. Dubois pointed out an irony that shows how messy tribalism can be. In almost every case where fans have thrown bananas onto the pitch against players on the other team, those fans have been chanting for the black players on their own team, he said. Those fans rationalize it as just another way to rattle players from the opposite team. If you accept it like you did in the stadium as you were walking down the street, people would think you were insane, he said. But in the stands, it's supposed to be a place where you can let loose.
All right. Vocabulary questions on those 4 paragraphs?
Yes, I am trying to look it up with the word that I just missed. Okay, one
Yeah,
second.
sometimes you read it and then you forget it.
Yes. Okay. A plague matches or something. I can even read it.
Plague.
Pledge. A
Plague.
Plague.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go.
Great vocabulary question. Does anyone know the definition to the word plague already? So a plague would be a virus or a disease, usually. So if something is plaguing the matches, it means that it's deteriorating the matches and infecting them with racism.
Okay. Hooliganism.
That's a fun one. Does anyone know what a hooligan is?
I don't. I'm not sure, but I think that hooligans are like those fans who are violent and yes, violent.
Yeah, in general, it's people who are violent and usually not thinking very clearly. Someone who's not doing something intelligent, but kind of just messing around in a potentially dangerous way.
Yes, here in Spain, hooligan is a word used to English stream soccer fans. So hooligans in Spanish is used is a common word mm, for English, specifically English fans.
That's
Oh, I
funny.
remember that. That's true.
Yes.
That's true because
Yes.
I've heard about it that before, so I just forgot. So hooligans, yes, that is a term for that as well. I just watched it the commentary about Brazilian hooligans because that are one of the most dangerous that we have in soccer nowadays. So yes, I just remember that word. Thank you for that.
Awesome. Any other questions? So the topic from these paragraphs is something we talked a little bit about, how a lot of these instances of racism really don't make any sense. Like people being racist against this same race as that person is, or, here they're talking about they're cheering for both races, white and black people on their own team, but not for the other team. So it really doesn't make a lot of intelligent sense. It's just people being a little crazy. Anyone have a comment or question on this before we move on? All right, let's try to finish this up then. We're almost done. Johnny, can you read the next two paragraphs?
What is that?
Starting with, there's one line here. That, of course, doesn't mean the behavior is not racist. You can start below that.
Okay. There are sanctions that can be leveled against players and managers for racist behavior, but fans are tougher nut to crack. Some clubs have banned fans or fan groups, but that hasn't really put a consistent ban in the accidents. The fan who threw the banana at Alves has been banned from the stadiums for life. The boys ceded the position of Leon Thuram, a black French national hero, for a decisive goal in a World Cup match in 1998, who has become an outspoken activist against fan racism in football. Thuram has argued that the only thing that may work is for a side to walk off the field in protest, prompting their teams to cancel or forfeit games. Thuram's point about this is if you start hurting the wallets of people who are making money off this, then they are going to find a way to not let the fans into the stadiums with bananas, the boy said. He also said that it shouldn't only be up to black players. All players have to do it.
Thank you very much. All right. Specific questions on vocabulary? How about the word forfeit? What if you forfeit a game?
I like to give up.
Mm-hmm. To give up. You just stop playing. Any other vocabulary you guys are unsure about in these two paragraphs?
What is the text is trying to say with if you started hurting the wallets of people who are making money of this? No.
So why is that
wallets
in brackets?
Yes, what does that mean?
Well, it
The
means
wallets
you're
of.
not physically hurting the person. Like, for instance, the person who owns the stadium or the person who owns the teams, they're making a lot of money off these games. So if you start hurting them financially, so when they say the wallets of, it means a financial kind of hurt, not physically breaking their arm or anything like that. You're just financially taking money away. If you hurt them in that way, then
Okay.
they'll start to make a change within the within the arena and within the teams instead of leaving it to the fans.
Right. Okay, thank you.
All right, does anyone have another solution here? Like what the appropriate punishment should be for such a crime?
I think that we should do something in the stadiums and also, but and all of that. But it's like in real life, try to stop racism in the classrooms, on the public transport. That because the stadium is a kind of part of the life. I don't know how to explain it, but this starts outside of the stadium.
Yes, especially with the media and I'm talking about my country, especially the Brazilian government. When it comes to Brazil, I think that we still have problems with racism because the Brazilian government are trying to put white people against the black people when they are creating codes and laws that. For example, codes for black people going to the university instead of white people going to the university, and sort of thing like this. So they are trying to put, the black people against white people. So I think it started with our government, our society, and then it goes to its parts and sort of thing like this. So it needs to stop with our own government, and we needed to bring it up with the society, and we needed to discuss about that.
Makes a lot of sense. Any other comments or questions before we finish up class today?
No, but I agree.
I
agree with yes.
Okay, thank you guys for coming and sharing your opinions, and I hope to see you all again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Nice to see you again.
Great
Bye.
class.
Bye.
Goodbye.